Okay, so once again, thank you everybody for joining this Global Learning and Development Community webinar that our friend Logan Monday has so generously offered to host for us for free. So without further ado, thank you, Logan, and the floor is yours.
Hey, thanks, Mariana. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for helping me get set up this morning. It's good to see everybody. I recognize some of you and really welcome the new faces, and especially to the GLDC. If you haven't signed up in the GLDC, do so. You won't regret it. It's a great community. So my name is Logan Monday. I'm a transitioning from the Bermuda Triangle of sales, CS, and marketing into my original career of teaching and training, and doing that in the learning space along with so many of you. Along the way, I've come into contact with artificial intelligence like all of us, and have for many years been working on it from behind the scenes, and now using that knowledge to share how to use it for your benefit, and especially within learning and development. And what I love about talking about artificial intelligence and learning and development is that everyone, mostly in learning and development, enjoys the context of how it matters to them and how they can use it in their work, instead of just the product of like, how quickly can I make money from it? So that's near and dear to my own heart, and which is why this is very personal for me. So with further ado, we'll go ahead and share the screen. And as it loads, if you can't see it, give me a thumbs down to make sure that everyone is there. Okay, great. So two things with this. The art that you're going to see in this webinar is artificial intelligence generated. And not only am I going to share this with you, but I'm going to do a live demonstration of it. So the webinar's point for this is not about selling anything. It's following the GLDC's notion of not selling yourself, but instead providing information and a demonstration of how to use this day to day. And so the way I thought about how to impact or artificial intelligence impact in learning and development is, how do you direct AI? And how do you use it as your assistant instead of viewing it as a replacement? And that's what we're going to do today. So real quickly, some logistics for the webinar. Interact anytime, raise your hand, throw a question up in the chat. If you're unsure about something, ask in the chat. Before we do that, though, I would like to have a quick show of hands to guarantee that we can agree that this webinar is about prompting in learning and development. It's not about data management. It's not about the ethics of AI. It's not about AI's impact in teaching or learning and development in an ethical sense. It is purely just for demonstrating how to prompt AI to use in your work. So give me a quick thumbs up if you can agree. When you have questions about those things, please ask me. I love talking about it, but for the purpose of this webinar, I'm going to stay on topic and just do a demonstration on how to prompt. Yes, so we are recording. You have your camera off, and it'll be available afterwards, and we'll stop recording to allow for questions to go in depth so that everyone can respect their time. And please interact, please. I love it. I cannot stand it when I'm just talking to myself. So let's begin. So who am I? Well, my name is Logan Monday, yes, like the day, and I believe that artificial intelligence is a way for you to embrace your future. It's brought the future to your keyboard. Today's society relies on skill, while ideas drive the future. You get on TV or see on social media, except for today, Facebook is down, but mostly there are ideas there. And I'm here to guide you to have the AI skills to succeed today, so your ideas can impact the future. That's what this point is. Your ideas can be used to create in learning and development to impact your future work. So a quick overview. We're going to have 4 categories, and then we're going to do a demonstration. So with how AI became unleashed is that it's the buzzword of the 2020s. And I think the big question that we have is that AI is just this big umbrella for everything. So does it do everything? Well, let's just take a quick informal poll and figure out if it does everything for you. So just give me a thumbs up if you have taken a class, a course, had any formal training on AI in school, college, university, whatever you might have called high school, but not coding. So if you just did like prompting, raise your hand. Yeah, me neither. None of us had anything on this. And the great example that I love is as if one day we were all driving Model T cars, and then the next day we woke up and there's like a 1950s car en road, and we're just supposed to know what to do with it immediately. I was talking to my grandmother about this, and she's like, I grew up with horses, and yet I'm supposed to talk to a computer and it makes images for me. She's like, this is crazy. How do I do this? And so the second question that I have for you is, how many of you have taken a prompting course for using generative AI? So if you've taken a course on how to use ChatGPT, Designer, Canva, Adobe's Express, any of those, a thumbs up, please. Tegan has, cool. There's not a lot of them, but yet on YouTube University, there's certainly a lot of experts. And on today's Dabble expert on LinkedIn certainly has a lot of insights on how a one-page slide is going to make you an expert in it. But my motivation is not to do that. It's to show you how AI was unleashed, because it's everywhere. And it feels like everyone gets an AI now. Like you get one, you get one, you get one, but nobody knows what to do with it. Because AI is not all the same thing, and it doesn't mean the same thing to everyone. And I personally feel overwhelmed by it day in and day out. And I enjoy learning about the nuances of it, but it never stops. So I enjoy focusing on how prompting can impact people. None of us was given training on AI, like none of us, no schooling, nothing. And yet we're expected to use it with ease. We're expected to seamlessly blend it into our lives and to do so without, in a frictionless way. And the reality is that just isn't the case. So let's see what happens next. So it doesn't do everything, but they say it does. But how do we interact with it in learning and development? That's the question to think about as we go on. So we've always had AI since World War II, but it wasn't called AI. It was handcrafted knowledge. And it was essentially men and women sitting in a room and creating the coding papers that they would put into a computer to make a program work. And the first computers were as big as a house, and then now they're this, what we hold in our hands. But for about 45 years, this is how they worked. And Excel is a great example. You can tell it to do one thing, and it will do that one thing all the time. But if you tell it to change it up, or you change the font on it, or you change the variable, and it goes crazy. We've all had that wonderful experience when your Excel sheet doesn't export the way that you want because of formatting. And that's because it's a handcrafted knowledge. So it's AI that's just software. But the difference that happened was in the mid-90s with the internet. And the internet, up until about 2004, was really how machine learning came about. And machine learning was a quantum leap above what was done before. And it allowed the internet to be connected seamlessly and behind the scenes. What happened next, though, was the tech companies that came out of the creation of the internet really learned how to personalize the internet. So this is where you got those personalized emails, marketing campaigns. When you turn on Netflix and you see just the movie that you wanted to see, that's AI working for you. And those are called neural nets. What happened in 2017 was that generative AI was made. And the long and short of it is they basically just took a ton of nets and just kept folding them together and found ways so that the generative AI can interact much quicker. There's a very technical way of describing it, but that's as simple as I could make it while it's still being right. So that's where we got to. And it interacts with learning and development because we can control the way that outputs are made from it. But how do we prompt it? So the problem is we have AI, but we have these new AIs, but we don't really know how they work and how to use them day to day. And then we're told it makes everything faster, but does the AI actually know what it's doing, or are we telling it what to do? The answer to that is we're the ones that tell it what to do. So when you're prompting learning and development, it's actually your assistant with generative AI. The AI before that really wasn't. there are two things about this, that the way it works. One, it's based on prediction, and two, it's based on judgment. The AI is great at prediction, like really good at it. However, it's terrible at judgment. That's our role. Our role is to use it and to judge whether we want to use it or not and how it's made. So how does this impact? Well, this is a live shot. Okay, this is actually a screenshot I took of Nashville, but this is kind of how Nashville traffic really works. And what it does is every single day I try to find the route to get to daycare. And every single day, it never gives me the route I actually take, because it predicts that the quickest way to get there is to go through the main thoroughfares. Well, clearly, the main thoroughfares are just stacked red and not the way you want to go. It's like asking Google Maps or Waze, hey, the internet's blocked. What's another way to get there? And Google Maps or Waze says, okay, go through the school zone at 3:30 on a Friday. It's like, that's not what you want to have. That's terrible judgment. But it's great at predicting that there's a problem. And that's just based on the data that's there. So you have to use your judgment when you see it. And that's how it's paired together, is that it allows us to let it do a lot of the heavy lifting with like data analysis, creating things, but then we judge if it works or not. But what's the bridge between those two things? Well, it's not just a cool graphic. It's actually using it as your assistant. And the way that it's done is prompting. And prompting is the key skill for the modern learning and development professional. It is the way to stay ahead of the game as you move forward in your career, because your judgment makes it a great assistant. Let's look at how it goes through. So we've gotten to these points, but we want to master it. We want to master how our judgment can direct the AI. So how can we do that? Well, you're going to want to think of it as your assistant and prompt it.
I don't know. I don't think this is a cross-form thing. I think this is like within the same UI. Is it a cross-form?
Hey, Lucy, I couldn't hear you. Could you write that down for me? Now, these are the three main generative AI programs that are there that most people have heard about. Certainly, I think everyone's kind of heard of ChatGPT and the implications that it has. Canva is actually a generative AI program. They just frame it as a graphic design program. And then Microsoft Designer is a purely generative AI graphic design program. So how do these three things work? Well, they work in two ways. The first way is through design, which is what you want in the end for what you're creating. And then two, you revise it. And this isn't what you see a lot on YouTube University, is that when you instruct the generative AI, you're then going to have to follow up with it again. It's not going to be perfect the first time. There's so many examples of terrible prompts coming out from it, but you have to revise it to work on it. But if you're going to do that, why not have a template for it? And this is my solution to the problem. So if you've never used a generative AI program, I want you to screenshot when I'm finished putting these through so that you can use all of those programs that I just showed you whenever you want, however you want, with this framework, and it will work for you. So when you're thinking of the prompt to make, you're going to want to know why it's being made. You're going to want to know who it's being made for, the role or the point of view, the profession, the tone, the style, and then how the prompt is written, telling the AI what to make, and then how long of it. Do you want it to be at 500 words, or do you want it to be one photo? You're going to have to decide that for what it is the purpose. So this all ties together. So if you've never done this before or used it, take a screenshot, save it, and test it. And please tell me how it works. All right, so hopefully everyone's got a screenshot of it. You can use it for when you want to. So here's an example. This is a pretty generic example, but it says, "Good afternoon, ChatGPT. You are an instructional designer. and you're going to generate responses as an instructional designer, but for any industry. Your tone's going to be professional, and you're going to keep your responses concise. Do you understand? And it will react to it. And you're going to see that in real time in just a couple of moments. There we go. So if you haven't taken a screenshot of this, do so that you can use it as an example to help you have that format that I showed you. So I'll give everyone just a moment to take a screenshot. Okay. So when you're going to prompt like ChatGPT, the more words you use, the better. The better words you use, the better response you're going to get. It really is like an assistant. If you're very vague and you don't use a lot of words and you're not telling you what you want, it's not going to give you what you want because you don't know what to tell it. If you're detailed and you're specific and you know the outcome, it's going to give you what you want, which means you have to revise less and you get to use it in your work more. So the prompt that I have, and take a screenshot again, if you haven't already, is I want you to generate a written storyboard for a micro-learning course on the topic of construction safety for new hires. Your tone's going to be professional, and you're going to provide a storyboard that includes key terms, interactive quiz, a brief 60-second video. You're going to provide the voiceover script, ensuring that it's consistent with the messaging and tone of the micro-learning course. Learning objectives being to properly judge on objects' weight, safely picking it up, and setting it down within the power zone. The entire micro-learning course will be 10 minutes. So this is a long and detailed prompt, but it's designed for the ChatGPT to know what it is without you having to constantly go back through and revise it. And I'm going to show this to you. I'm going to use this exact prompt in just a second. So let's prompt together. So we'll start with ChatGPT first, and I'm going to pop out of my PowerPoint and go. Oh, yes, Christy, thank you. I got so excited about this. So yeah, so what I'm doing is I'm doing the free versions. There is a big difference, but I am purposely designed this so that you can use the free version of ChatGPT in your work and it still be as effective as if without having to integrate everything in all of your other apps that ChatGPT is trying to do for the paid versions. So this is the free version, and this is the free version that you can use as soon as you leave from here. All right, so I need to copy the prompt. It was a good question, thanks. When you really get excited about something, sometimes you forget to. Okay, so we're going back to it, and I'm here at ChatGPT, and if you've never used it, all you have to do is go into chat.openai.com. You log in with either an email or your Google or Facebook account, and then it'll confirm your email, and then it'll confirm it again, I think, to your cell phone number, because they only allow one user per email and phone number. This is to prevent, just being overrun with spam. So let's take a look at what we got here. Make sure, let's see, yeah. So we've got the prompt there, and let's see what it does. Cool. We're going to pop it up and then copy paste. So put up your hand if you've actually done this in your work. Yeah. Now is if you have if you want to share something, you have a question, I could use your judgment and your experience to tell me, and work together here as we revise this prompt. So based on your experience, if you'd like to interact and speak out, do you like what it made first? So it's got a video demonstration there. Let's tell it to make the script. All right. I'm curious, does anyone actually Okay, so Sumran's talking about Gemini, which is Google's AI, their competitor to ChatGPT, and they give multiple drafts. So they'll have like 2 or 3 options when it opens up when using the same prompts. And they like that to ChatGPT. Yeah, I agree, Mariana. Like, it's a good place to start. It's easy to work in. Yeah, you have to use your judgment, Susan, to really see that it needs revision so that it follows through on it. You have to give a specific number of drafts. Prompt again, load down. Yeah. So it seems like a lot of you are here on this. So let's use this on a video. Okay. Now, here's my question. How many of you talk to it as an actual assistant and tell it like if it did something well?
Hey, Logan. Sorry, I'm too lazy
Hey.
to type. I hope it's okay.
Go ahead.
I find by and large, I hate the objectives it gives me in the first round. I usually ask for objectives first before I do the rest of it, and I break it down into 2 pieces so that I have the objectives that I want before doing the other parts. And it has not in my history been good about getting measurable verbs as well as much. I don't know if that's my prompting, but it likes to use understand. So I have to tell it, please do never use the word understand in an objective. And it never remembers it. It remembers it during that session, but anytime I start another session, it gives me understand again. But yes, I usually do give it feedback.
When you're making those different sessions, do you have like different chats on the side?
Yeah, if I'm doing different activities, different lessons. If I'm working on the same course, I keep it all in the same chat, so it's all there. But if I'm starting a different one, I start a different chat on the left. And the free version anyway, I don't feel like it's received. I only just paid for it personally to try some stuff, so I haven't played enough with it to see as much of a difference on the non-free version other than being able to upload a document.
Right, right. So what those chats are like files in a filing cabinet. Like they have all the information in that chat, but they don't mix. And so the information there doesn't go from chat to chat. Okay, Meredith, that's a good question. So it doesn't go from chat to chat. That's why you have to retell it every time. And that's why you're having to repeat the same commands because it can't talk to itself in the different chats. Okay, so good words in, good words out. So, all right, okay, ChatGPT, this is good. This is a good start. But I want more. Craft out a script. So again, it sounds like many of you have used this as a good framework for how you want to get started with it and to be able to bring it in and to help you get going, but it doesn't actually do all the work for you because it requires your judgment of the nuance of like, how does this fit into my course? Like, how does it work in? Yes, Susan's been using it for thinking of it as like a tutoring assistant. And Meredith, citation work for AI created materials. The U.S. copyright says that there's no copyright issue on AI generated work, so there's no citation. So if you are someone who really enjoys citing sources, this is going to be a frustrating reality for a little bit. Yeah. So there's different things. It seems like, yeah. Thanks, Meredith. Have a great day. Yeah, Jill, it's also that because generative AI, there are large language models. The only thing that they interact with you, the user, are words. So the words that you use with it are the words that it's going to put out. So if you talk to it and use incredibly negative words, you'll either get a warning or it won't create responses that match your tone. Yeah. Yeah, so Bing does that. And then Bing has problems after that when people start just pulling it and taking it because the AI can't keep up with it, with the sourcing for it, which is wild. So as you can make it in there. Meredith used it to do Bloom's taxonomy, or you can do it within Addy. Now, so we have a general point here, and we have a general microlearning course, but everyone knows visuals are what make a great course. So let's make some visuals. Now, how many of you have used Designer? Yeah, banking is, banking uses AI, but does not use generative AI in creating things. Yeah. So if anyone's used Microsoft Designer, give me a thumbs up. Okay. So Microsoft Designer, obviously, because it's images, is going to be a different way of how they want you to create and experience it together. So they actually have like ways of getting started, creating images, doing stickers, designs, creating albums, brand kits, removing background. This is also done similarly in like Canva and Adobe. And then they try to integrate it with social media. So let's make one, and let's make one for the construction safety course. Now, you can either follow a template that they have, like an example, or you can use the prompt yourself. So let's do a quick prompt here. So create a So let's have a vector image of a construction worker safely lifting a heavy box up to 40 pounds and placing it on a shelf that is mid-waist. So I'm really being focused on what the outcome is for this, and being as detailed as I can without letting it getting too abstract, because it's a lot of fun to do. But if you want to make something for your courses, having that tone is what helps you keep it in line with what you're making, and it doesn't go off away from what you want. Yes, yes, I am, Mariana. This is a basic free version for Microsoft Designer. And again, the whole point and the purpose is so that you can see how to use it without having to keep paying extra and extra and extra and worry about integrating. So what do you all think? Is those pretty good outcomes for a image to use in our course? I like the one on the left. So I would download it, keep it, and use it for later. See wheels on the right pick? That's right. That's a good point. Let's see if we can alter that. Of a construction worker from and let's see what it designs. Yeah, every time, Jill, I lift up a box and put it on my shoulder like that, my lower back does not like it. So it doesn't really match within that. And this is part of the difficulty of what AI can't do with creating great judgment, is that it has a hard time understanding the specifics of cultural nuance. And it's very hard for it to know, like, okay, why is it you want that type of thing? Like the one on the right there, we only changed 2 words, and look at what the outcome is. It's completely different. I wouldn't use any of these images in the course. He's standing on wheels. He's somehow holding backwards, his arms backwards. I don't know how he's doing that, but so you have to really revise in it, and it's not a perfect science, which is why I like to have it as generic as I can, so that it fits the needs. And then when you want to get creative, you can really go down a cool part. Now, the last one is Canva. Sonia. All right, let's make a new one. So I've got Canva here. Canva, now this one, Canva, you can have a free Canva, but I am using my paid Canva. Just to show what it in real time, what it can do. I don't know why it's doing this. So when you're doing it, you're going to do the same thing. It says AI image generator. You'll generate your own. And again, you'll prompt it. So describe what you'd like to create. They word it as create your own images, get started, generate. ChatGPT says, what can I do for you? They're all rewording the same thing, which is you're prompting it. So let's prompt it with the exact same construction image. Come back. I lost it. Okay. Thanks, Umra. Have a great day. And this is the last one I'll do. £40 box in the safety zone on a shelf. And you can really tell that it depends on each, like each website, like how they want it designed to emphasize like what they have. Like Canva doesn't emphasize it a lot, because it takes so much processing power to use this. And again, it gives you more options, but not necessarily better options. I think he lost a leg there. This one's standing on the wheels. He's next to it. Maybe that one would be okay, except for his foot is inside the wheels. So again, it takes revision. So you'd have to rewrite it again and go through it again to revise it and work through it again. And then you would generate again. So Mariana, we'll go ahead and stop the recording there for everyone and answer some of those questions that you guys were asking about.